Welcome back, everybody. It is time for the bloodiest battle in American history, the bloodiest battle of the Civil War, the turning point considered to be of the American Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg. As you can see, I am going to bring in about 62,000 soldiers, only about 29,000 available for the enemy on day one, and should be a pretty easy day one victory for me. And of course, start out with just a few brigades, but I want to make sure that I use all infantry here. And the other thing is, I want to make sure that I get myself in a position to be successful right away, because historically speaking, Battle of Gettysburg, if you're familiar with the Civil War, you're most likely familiar with this battle more than any other. And of course, it was fought, early stages were fought west of town between two brigades under Gamble and Devon, who were commanded by John Buford, who was a division commander in the cavalry corps of the Army of the Potomac. They were defending these ridges west of town, and they ran into this Confederate infantry division from the 3rd Corps under Henry Heth, and it got pretty heavy. They held their ground because they had repeating rifles, even though they were heavily outnumbered. There were only about 2,000 Union troops facing down a division of like 10,000 men eventually. So they held out long enough for John Reynolds to arrive with the 1st Corps, and of course the rest is history. So the main thing here is, in this half hour that you have at the beginning, it's really important to press ahead and grab this high ground, so that this is where you're sitting when Reynolds hits with the infantry of the 1st Corps. And got a heavy advantage in numbers. I've got 7,600 men compared to his only 2,000. But what he has is a bunch of small cavalry units with repeating rifles. So it makes it hard to manage against all of that with a couple of big unwieldy infantry brigades. But the main thing is, you've got to press forward quickly, take the high ground as quick as you possibly can. And as long as you're holding that high ground when the infantry hits, should be okay. Of course, this was the bloodiest battle in American history, 51,000 or so casualties. Here, it was not, however, as some falsely claim, the largest battle of the Civil War. There were about 150,000 men engaged. If you look at Fredericksburg, there were about 200,000 men combined on the two sides at that battle, and I think that probably would be the largest battle of the war. And therefore, the largest battle of the Western Hemisphere. So I want to try and take out Caliph's battery if I can quickly here. Of course, these early units that you face on the Union side are all at the brigade size, or at the regiment size rather than the brigade size. Just got to kind of cover the flanks to make sure he doesn't cause a unit to rout unnecessarily. Got 13 minutes, 12 minutes. Got to get up to this high ground. It's really important to do that. Might not get there on this side. And that's the Iron Brigade's going to be coming in over here. Cutler's Brigade's going to be coming up on this side for the Union. Kind of a mess on this side. Alright, so we'll be good over here. Oh, Grider, what's going on, buddy? I gotta be really cautious with these supplies right now. All these guys are in my rear now. This is going to be kind of a mess. Alright, so here comes the First Corps. I'm going to have a problem on my right side because the Iron Brigade's going to get there. And I don't have anybody in position. I'm ready for Cutler, though. I gotta keep these supplies near Grider. I'm gonna have a big problem on this side. Alright, here come the reinforcements. Desperately needed, especially on this side. I'm going to send the Paper Collar Brigade to the left. Get them moving quickly. This went so much more smoothly yesterday when I did it. Yeah, so you can see that famous quote right there on the top left from the battle. The Confederate troops thought that they were only going to run into some local militia. Because of Lee's invasion of the North, the state of Pennsylvania had raised a number of like 90-day militia units to help with the defense of the state. And that's what the Confederates thought they were going to run up against when they made their little foray into town, hoping to procure some shoes that they had heard were there. And of course, once they saw the black hats of the Iron Brigade, they realized they were, in fact, up against the Army of the Potomac. The Iron Brigade had these black hats rather than the standard kind of kepi hats that were given to Union troops. And it wasn't because they were trying to be different. It was, from what I've read, it was because the regular hats weren't available at the time that the Army was outfitted. So they got these other hats as kind of a replacement, and it ended up becoming a status symbol for them. See, they still haven't fixed this unit name. This should be the 24th Michigan, not the 4th Michigan. It was the largest brigade, or the largest regiment in the Iron Brigade, because it was the newest regiment in the Iron Brigade. I believe that Gettysburg was their first major combat. We got to get these guys up here into position, get them engaged. All right, let's break off some skirmishers from the Paper Collar Brigade so they can cover this flank. We'll get them down in the railroad cut. The railroad cut, there was this unfinished railroad that went out of town to the west. They had cut through the ground for it, but they had not yet laid the tracks. And it seemed like a strong defensive position, and so Joseph Davis, Confederate brigade commander, had some of his Mississippians down in there firing on the Union troops, but it ended up becoming kind of a death trap, and hundreds of them ended up surrendering down in that railroad cut when they got surrounded on all sides by Union troops. Of course, the Iron Brigade was heavily engaged on day one. I think lost something like 2/3 of their force. A lot of casualties on both sides over here. 26th North Carolina was a regiment, I believe, in Pettigrew's brigade. And, of course, they suffered some of the highest casualties of the war at Gettysburg. Lost over 700 of their 800 men, including an uncle of mine who died on day one. They were engaged on day one. They also were engaged on the third day they fought in Pickett's Charge. Which is amazing to me that you would ask that of a unit. A unit that had already lost something like 600 of their 800 men, and they asked them to make this deadly charge into the Union center. So I can get Dilger up here, get him fighting against that flank. All right, here we go. Of course, the First Corps was commanded by General Reynolds, Lancaster, Pennsylvania man from just down the road. It was like the next county over. He was killed, shot in the back of the head while leading some of the Iron Brigade troops in the battle, kind of encouraging them. I think he said, "Forward, men, for God's sakes, forward," and he turned in his saddle and he was shot in the back of the head. Some people say it was a stray bullet. Some people said it was a North Carolina sharpshooter. All right, we're going to drive the... I'm not even going to call them the 4th Michigan. That's the 24th Michigan. It should be. Try to drive them off. After Reynolds was killed, the command of the First Corps fell to Abner Doubleday. Of course, he had actually been commanding the First Corps because Reynolds was temporarily in command of the entire left wing of the Union Army. So Doubleday was commanding the First Corps. Doubleday did not invent baseball, though he's certainly given credit for that. One thing he probably did do was fire the first Union shot of the American Civil War at Fort Sumter. Oh boy, what a mess this is. Gamble's got this little unit that just dropped behind me. So we're going to have to drop some. Okay, that was quick. We eliminated that guy. I need Ransom to stay facing this way. We're getting some facing issues because this guy got behind me. Alright, I need to get Dilger back down here. So a lot of the problems I'm dealing with on the right side right now are directly related to the fact that I didn't hold the high ground when the Iron Brigade arrived. That made my job much, much tougher than it otherwise needed to be. Speed things along here for a minute. Of course, Abner Doubleday was wrongly accused, I think, of having performed poorly at Gettysburg. He actually did really well. But what happened was the 11th Corps came in, set up on the right here of the 1st Corps. There we got the 24th Michigan to surrender. And when Ewell's 2nd Corps came down from the north, they actually routed the 11th Corps, and it was only when the 11th Corps started to rout that the 1st Corps had no choice but to fall back themselves. 1st Corps performed really admirably at Gettysburg. I, on the other hand, am not doing nearly as well as when I did kind of a quick playthrough of this battle yesterday. Mainly because I got myself slowed down and didn't take the high ground quickly enough. And that has just thrown the whole thing off for me. End result's going to be the same. I'm going to win the battle on day one. I'm just probably going to suffer a few more casualties than I otherwise should have. Got some ammo issues here. I need to get my supply over there to Hill. Alright, so he's got 7,100 men left. We've both lost about 4,000. Oh, look at this. I send some skirmishers down here. I didn't realize he had some cavalry hiding in the background over here. Alright, we're going to drive off the last elements of the Iron Brigade from the top of the ridge here on Seminary Ridge. Finally securing the high ground. I'll give my men a chance to kind of reform and kind of rebuild their condition a little bit before we start pressing ahead. We'll go ahead and move this artillery up. Keep these surrendered troops close. I'll keep Stewart's skirmishers back here so he doesn't sneak up and take the objective from me. Alright, these guys' condition's good. We'll start advancing on this side. A lot of units still going over here, more than I realized. Send some help. Wow, Stone's getting lit up. Of course, he's facing like 7,000 men. Might have something to do with it. Interesting thing that at Gettysburg, the Confederate Army came from the north and the west. Union Army came from the east and the south that day. Both armies were spread out all over. And of course, Lee had the disadvantage of not being in contact with Stuart's cavalry, which made it hard for him to know where the Union Army was and what they were up to. Stuart didn't arrive till the afternoon of the second day of the battle. Alright, this is where it gets interesting because we don't want to get bogged down in the town. So when this next part of the battle triggers here in a minute, we're going to try to go around the town the best we can. Avoid urban warfare at all costs. Alright, here we go. The 11th Corps is going to arrive now. Of course, it was Howard that was surprised on the flank at Chancellorsville, and he gets routed again at Gettysburg. Not a good couple of months for the 11th Corps. We've got to turn Dilger. We're going to start running into those 11th Corps units here soon, so we don't want to advance too fast. Give these guys a chance to recover a little bit. Some of my men are exhausted. This guy here, maybe my Polish friends can help me out with how to pronounce his name, the one that starts with a K, because I know Polish names can be really interesting to pronounce. I read somewhere that he actually had been given a promotion, but because nobody in Congress could pronounce his name, they had a hard time putting the promotion through. So maybe someone can help me with how to pronounce that. I believe his first name was Vladimir, with a W. A lot of foreign names you'll see, especially in the 11th Corps. General von Gysa, Schimmelpfennig, Karl Schurz was the division commander. Here's Adelbert Ames right here. He was previous to this the commanding officer of the 20th Maine Infantry. You can see him portrayed in the movie Gods and Generals. Interesting little tidbit for you. I don't know the actor's name, but the actor who played Adelbert Ames, who was a colonel in Gods and Generals, I believe had played a private in the 20th Maine in the film Gettysburg. And you can see him in some of those scenes. Of course, the 20th Maine, the lieutenant colonel under Ames, up until this battle, had been Joshua Chamberlain. Ames is given a promotion. He takes command of a brigade in the 11th Corps. Chamberlain becomes the new commanding officer of the 20th Maine and, of course, makes history for himself at Gettysburg. Ames, I believe, was the last surviving general officer of the American Civil War on the Union side. Lived into the 1930s. So I'm going to go ahead and go around the town here. I'll go ahead and send a couple of brigades through just to keep my line intact. Now, I hate that I've got to pursue this guy. Let's just send a unit of skirmishers so I can send the brigade this way. Same thing with Dilger up here. I'm going to go ahead and just bring him down here because 2nd Corps is going to be coming down. They'll deal with the 147th New York. So we'll send a couple units down through the town, but for the most part, going to try to go around. But I don't want to advance too far just yet until I get my 2nd Corps. Who did we get over here? Texas Brigade, all right. Who's Haney being flanked by? You can see they move really slowly through town, as one would expect. And I'll put Stewart right here. Got to give these guys a chance to recover. Ammo, okay, come on over with some ammo. Alright, let's speed this part up. We're not going to advance all the way just yet. Try to wipe out some of these units in the meantime. Where you going, Devin? Oh, here comes the 2nd Corps. Okay. Now, this part we do want to be about speed. So, I'm going to start sending these guys down the road so they'll get there a little faster. And then I'll get some on the south or on the northeast side as well. Come on, there we go. I think I got everybody, just about. Just keep an eye on the mini-map and we'll see if anybody's not moving. Okay. We're going to wait for those 2nd Corps units to come up. Gives our other units a chance to rest and recuperate a little bit. Try to go around the town here. I don't want to get too close to Cemetery Hill just yet. Not quite ready for that. Union secured Oak Ridge. He's got a unit up here, of course. Alright. We'll send some skirmishers over there to hold that. Supplies, you stay back too. Here comes some cavalry. That'll actually come in pretty handy. Make sure everybody's moving. They are. All right. Keep moving. All right, we're running into his line here. I'm not sure I'm quite ready for that yet. But he's going to get some reinforcements. He's down to just 4,600 men. I know he's going to have more than that holding the line here soon. Okay, last part of the battle on day one. And this is where the Confederates failed on day one. They should have pressed this attack. They should have gone for the heights, especially Culp's Hill over here. Would have made a big difference in the battle if they had, but they kind of stopped short, and they chose to be satisfied with their day one victories. To keep everybody moving. All right, Mr. Ames, your time in this battle is over. Really, he's got nobody there. He's only got 4,200 men left. I guess let's advance. And Ames is toast. I guess it's almost kind of a waste to send the rest of these units down here because I'm not going to need them. Come on, Cable, grab these supplies. Ah, here comes his reinforcements. I gotta hurry up and grab these supplies before they get up there. There's one. Grab the second one, quick, quick, quick. There it is. Okay. Get out of Dodge because he's got reinforcements coming. Good news is we're up into the high ground, so he's not going to be able to get his defensive position built there. I'm probably not even going to need these Second Corps troops. I think the ones I've got will be plenty to do this, but I'll go ahead and send them down. What I do need, though, are supplies for Grider's unit here. Alright, we've got them boxed in. Kind of slow down here. I've got an hour and a half left. These guys are exhausted. I'm gonna pull Grider back. He needs ammo. He's tired. Oh, look at that. More supplies. Don't fire, Cable. Just go over and grab these guys. I believe these are 12th Corps units now. Yeah, because there's General Slocum. He's the commander of the 12th Corps. Union had 7 corps at Gettysburg. The Confederates had 3. Union corps were Reynolds, 1st Corps. Hancock commanded the 2nd Corps. Of course, Hancock was later the Democratic nominee for president in 1880, nearly became president. It was a very close election. course, James Garfield won that election. He was also a former Union general. Was assassinated not long after taking office. Third Corps was under Dan Sickles, who was quite a colorful character, best known as the congressman who, before the Civil War, had successfully pled not guilty by reason of temporary insanity for the first time in American history after he shot and killed the D.C. U.S. Attorney or District Attorney Philip Barton Key, who was the son of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Philip Key was having an affair with Sickles' wife, and Sickles, basically in full view of the White House, shot and killed Key. But he got off on temporary insanity. Fifth Corps was under George Sykes. Sixth Corps was under Sedgwick. 11th Corps under Howard. 12th Corps under Slocum. Of course, the Confederate Army reorganized after Chancellorsville, especially mainly due to the loss of Stonewall Jackson. And so they went from 2 Corps to 3. Longstreet still commanded the 1st, but 2nd Corps became part of under the command of General Richard Ewell, who had been wounded, I think, at 2nd Bull Run, lost a leg. And A.P. Hill took command of the newly formed 3rd Corps. Neither one of those men were very experienced in that way, and they'd both been excellent division commanders, but probably were not so good as corps commanders. See if we can bring this cavalry down here and maybe have some fun. Where's my 3rd one? Oh, my other one went up here to take those supplies. Alright, he's got 8,000 men left. 55 minutes to go. We should be able to take all these guys out. It's going to cost us a lot of casualties, but it's worth it. I mentioned to some of you yesterday that he got a whole lot of men when I did this playthrough yesterday just as a test, and I had annihilated the entire army then too. He ended up getting like 71,000 reinforcements after this battle, which put him up near 100,000 or over 100,000, which meant I was facing a whole lot of men going into Chickamauga. I would expect the same thing will happen here. Alright, hold up, Haney. Oh, no, this way, this way. Hoping maybe I can capture McDougal here. I can use those additional men. Hope he doesn't just break. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. Oh, he did. Good. No, 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 no. Alright, what's he down to? 5,900 men. Paper Collar Brigade. Hey, Chris, check that out. 2,000 kills, 550 deaths. Good day for them. And now we're just down to 4,800 men. Alright. How do we want to do this? Let's go like this. Everybody go! We'll speed this up. Come on, guys. Get in there. We'll watch that number go down. 1,600. Don't let anybody escape. There's probably still a unit floating around out there somewhere. 1,700. And boom. Nobody left on the battlefield. The Union Army is completely annihilated. We've captured enough that we'll get our 1,000 recruits. And now it's just a matter of waiting the time out. And seeing how many men I lost to make that happen. Something probably around 8,000, 9,000 probably. But there you have it. An easy victory on day one, and I'm definitely going to go back and replay this to see what happens if I drag it out. Try to inflict more casualties. But let's take a look at how this ended up. Alright, so he lost 19,000 infantry, 926 in the artillery, 357 cavalry, 1,600 missing. Total of 8,000 casualties for myself. Here's what's nice. Supplies. 3,700 Harper's Ferries, another 5,000 supplies. Some various other weapons. Let's see how many reinforcements he gets. I'm expecting 70,000. That's what happened yesterday when I did this. 71,300. There you go. So that puts him back up at 101 to 106,000. Of course, I'm not going to nearly have that many. I've got, what, 25, 43, about 48,000. Another 13,000 there. That can get me up to about 61. I can buy 4,000 more here. That'll get me up to 65,000. I can win Jackson, get another 4,000 men. At best, I'm looking at probably 65 to 70,000 men to go into Chickamauga with. That's going to be a tall order if he's got 100,000 men. I don't know if he'll take that many into that battle. But so I'll hold off on doing all this for now. It's been a long video already, but as always, I welcome your comments, your questions, your observations, and any and all things. I will probably go back and replay Gettysburg next in the next couple of days just to see how things go differently if I kind of drag that battle out. But thanks for watching. If you hit that thumbs up, I greatly appreciate it. Check out some of my other videos, and we'll see you again soon.